I want to talk to the boys and girls for a few minutes this morning. I'm thinking of Brume and Rona and Emma Vocke and Mansell and the Peaches. And I know that some of you like stories just as I do. I've got a collection of books here from Eleanor's bookshelf. So they're stories for older boys and girls. And I wonder if you ever have it happen that partway through a story, your storyteller stops and doesn't want to finish. What do you do? Well, sometimes you already know how the story finishes. Perhaps you could finish these stories. Do you remember the one where the lead character says, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll..." How does it go? Or perhaps you know the one, "We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. We're not..." Well, sometimes we know how the story finishes, but other times it's an unfamiliar story and we don't. So we have to ask somebody to tell us the rest of the story, unless, of course, we can read it for ourselves. What happens next is whatever the novelist says, if it's a made-up story. What happened next is whatever the historian reports to us, if it is something that happened in the past. But if it hasn't happened yet, then nobody can tell us how the story finishes. We have to wait and see. But not God. We started this morning's service with some verses from the prophet Isaiah, where God was speaking, and he had this to say: "I am God, and there is none like me. I make known the end from the beginning." God tells us that he knows how the story ends, and he knows it from the beginning. He doesn't have to wait and see what happens to know how it will all end. And a few verses later, God continues, "What I have said, that will I bring about. What I have planned, that will I do." God knows from the beginning how the story ends because he is the author. Isn't that marvelous? And more marvelous still, we get to choose the part we play in this story. Are we going to be on God's side, or are we going to be on the other side? Well, Michael is going to come and speak to the grown-ups from Daniel chapter 8, and the boys and girls are going to meet together using Zoom. Have a good morning.